I'm just going to share a bit about what I've been doing. It's fantastic to have a lead in from Sam, because to grow my business, I mean, at the moment I'm part-time farming, right? So I've had a farming background, but I've moved into construction and manufacturing and done a few other things, which has been a great experience. But what I really love is beef cattle. So I've got a pretty focused direction in the way I want to go farming. But at the moment, my other interests are supporting my farming habit. So that may also appeal to some of you, or it might align up with what you're doing too, or what you will be doing as you step into farming. So when I heard about Cultivate Farms, which was only a few weeks ago, I wish I'd known about them earlier, because when I started September 2016 looking for land, if I'd known there was crowds around like Sam's put together, I would have been pretty interested in talking to him. So now I know he's there, and that there's this market of people that want to start farming. I can solve two problems. I can find more land with the retiring farmers or transitioning farmers, that we're perhaps going to talk about them as transitioning farmers rather than retiring farmers, because they don't always want to stop just cold turkey. There can be a whole lot of reasons why they want to stay involved in the enterprise, and we can make that happen. So not only can we find more farms with this platform or this market that we're all excited about, but we can also find the people that we need to run those farms or manage them. And I was thinking in an employee sense, but now I'm thinking about things completely different. So my mindset is changing, and that's one of Sam's key messages. And I think that one of the big challenges is just creating an environment where people can change their mindset. So I'll just share a bit about what we've been doing, and you can take from that. So we're, as I said, we're fairly specific. We're looking at grazing. We're not cropping. We're not doing any intensive feedlotting. We're just grazing with grass, and we're looking at beef cattle only. So what we're trying to find is our place in the market for a transitioning farmer who might be full-time on farm now, and my clients are 80 years old, late 60s, early 60s. One is in her mid-50s probably. The idea is that we're trying to help them as they transition, and because they're looking for a change of pace, and that's to follow other lifestyle choices, maybe spend more time with grandchildren, might be a physical issue that they're coming across, some sort of health issue. They don't necessarily want to sell the farm, and succession may not be clear to them yet. So there might be people like me who 12 years ago my father sold 5,000 acres. Now I had the opportunity to go back there, but 12 years ago I wasn't ready for that. I was developing my family. I'd just bought real estate in Adelaide. The farm was in the southeast, so it would have been a complete change. My business, my stone business, the construction business I spoke about, I would never have been able to develop that to what it is today if I'd made that decision then. So I said no, and the farm went. I'm not pointing it, I don't have any hang-ups about it. I'm just saying there's a direct experience about how succession is not always timed for the right at the right time for certain family members. So what we're doing is we're saying, all right, what sort of lease model or what sort of commercial agreement can we put together that suits the farmer, that allows, well, then becomes a succession tool and just delays this, because we don't want these farms sold, I don't think. Well, that's how I was thinking about it. So flexibility and choice is what we're all talking about. So to do that, we needed to be able to connect retiring farmers, and I'm just talking about myself now because I didn't sort of have this larger market in mind when we started, of aspiring farmers, but I was one of those. I'm an aspiring farmer partway in my journey. And what problems existed in the market? I mean, the best businesses solve problems, right? So we wanted to dig and just pick at what problems are out there and how we could generate the leads and the conversations we needed to get going. So I spoke a little bit about my family and the succession process that we'd been through. My uncles and aunties are all involved in agriculture, so we sort of came from that background. This is my wife's family. Case in point, they've just sold 3,000 acres in the Mallee. Succession wasn't going to quite work for them because of there was one family member that was having trouble financing himself into the business. If we'd known about Cultivate Farms, or if that Cultivate Farms was a little bit more progressed than it is now, maybe we could have made that happen. So it's exciting, really exciting to see that this market is being looked at by more than just us. We asked a lot of questions about what farmers were looking for, why leasing worked, why it didn't, why it was not so popular, why you're selling, why aren't you leasing. We talked to farmers, we talked to their accountants and advisors, as Sam talked about, land agents. But a real key person that is, or advisor, I guess, or agents. Stock agents know a lot about what's going on. They're selling the livestock. They should know, and they have been very useful to me in finding out what's happening. So we found problems on both sides of the fence in trying to get going. Because if you talk about lease, the land values can be a challenge because people want a return on their investment. So there's a few things that we came across. Land prices, you can't buy land. We've talked about that today already. Livestock prices are high. You need a certain scale really if you're going to jump from one employment to another. You need the experience, as Sam touched on. Now in the Hills and Fleurieu, I think there's a lot of prices paid for lease that are, as a standalone, hard to understand, and there's a very price-focused approach from many of those transitioning farmers. On this side of the fence, they've got an asset that they've worked hard for. They want to get a return on that. One of the things I wanted to talk about just briefly is how well a transitioning farmer has provisioned for themselves to actually get off the farm, and that's off-farm investment, superannuation. If that's been diligent and well managed, then the conversations are easier. If it hasn't been and they're still quite reliant on that income from the farm, it becomes very difficult to come in as a share farmer and take a percentage of that income because it might hurt them in a way they can't move forward on. But there's other things that come into it. It's not all about price, and that's what we hope to talk about is more of this sort of stuff. Health, lifestyle, getting away from the farm a bit more. They'd like to stay on farm, a lot of my clients. They don't want to move into the regional centre. They don't want to move to Adelaide. They want to live on farm, and we can help them do that because we don't need the house. There's taxation considerations as well. We talked a little bit about succession not being clear or their children not being quite ready. So what we can do, and all of you can do, is slot in there and be an interim solution, which might lead to a longer term arrangement than you think. So share farming, we're getting a bit of feedback about the accounting of all of that, and that can be a little bit more complicated. So there's just some of the challenges that we came across. But we started in September 2016, and today we've got 5 clients. So I'm not sort of presenting the challenges as unsurmountable. It's just things that you need to be ready for, and advisors can help you with that. People like Sam can help with that, and I can help with that. I think it's important to present a team. Sam's presenting a team, we're presenting a team, our people are local. It's not to say we won't use the existing retiring or transitioning farmers livestock agent, but these are some of the people that I've come across in the last 12, 18 months that have really helped me shape our offering. So I won't go through all those individually. So the ingredients for success, what you're really talking about when you stump up to someone's kitchen table to talk about how they're going to farm with you in the future, you hope, is you've got to be able to listen, you've got to be able to engender trust, and that can take a lot of time. Some of these deals have taken me 3 months to get across the line because there's a lot of qualifying that goes on as you step into someone's life. Some of my clients have been farming for 40 years plus. You've got to be flexible. There's a whole land stewardship, which is touching on the environmental question earlier. Some of that can be a little bit counterintuitive because sometimes you need to stock a place in a different manner than it has been before in order to actually graze it effectively. And that can be a challenging conversation. So it takes time. So what we do is we grab the prospective clients and we take them to our other farms where we're doing it. And then you just see the release. You see the trust starts to build because they say, okay, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. He's doing it. I can see it's working, and there's the mob of cattle. It's not just stories. Simplicity is important, but always document. There's a lot of handshake deals that have gone south, not for us because we've never done that, but leasing and handshake over the fence is a really not advised. You need a document and some understanding of whose roles are what, and some mediation plans about if something happens, who do we talk to, how do we sit down, how do we make sure we don't have a little thing turn into a big problem later on. I won't go through all of those, but what we're looking for is access to land for the quiet enjoyment of all, and I think that's a message that would ring true in this room. The farmers get to continue that lifestyle that they got into farming for in the first place. They get to stay on farm, and they're still connected. Well, the way we work is we still connect them to the enterprise. We still involve them. It's not, we raw past and put a heap of dust up over the washing and they don't see us again. It's more about a collaborative approach to it. I just want to talk quickly about sustainability in a financial sense too. I mean, if farming returns do that, traditional lease, what they ask you to do, and I have had the same situation exactly that Sam talked about, where I've sat down with a couple and I've said, let's do a gross margin lease, which is a flexible lease that follows the enterprise return. I won't go into it too deeply, but essentially the lease price would do this, right? Leaving us with a margin so we can remain viable. But what advisors often have done in the past, and accountants are the worst at it, go, no, mum and dad, you need to have a fixed income. We need this. We need this lease price here. Now, that's really dangerous. So if you get into anything of scale, you need to avoid that situation. What you can do though, and we have done, is said, all right, we understand you want a proportion of a fixed income. Maybe we'll put a base in here, something that we can sustain in our worst year. We're not going to go broke. But if that's up here, you're going to be in trouble. So just be really careful about that. And again, get some good advice. And Sam's business, my business can help with that. It frees up livestock capital, particularly if they sell the cattle to you or to others and you come in with your enterprise. And this doesn't just have to be about beef. You can put your own overlay over it in your mind. But that's a big thing in cattle or sheep at the moment, because livestock prices are huge. So if you're having problems with that provisioning thing that I was talking about earlier, maybe superannuation has not been as diligently deployed, then there are some ways that you can free up capital for the farmer. This is a big one that I wanted to focus on today too. It's intergenerational relationships and mentoring. Sam talked about it. When someone's about to step back from something, I'm finding that there's an identity. You're talking about their identity. You're saying, all right, you're asking me, Sam, to step back from 40 years of history with this property, blood, sweat and tears, that sort of thing. If you can tap into the mentoring side of how well they know that property and where the cattle graze and how the grass grows in that corner and where it gets wet, all those little things bring them back into the business. Now, it's really important for people that are stepping back to feel valued as you move forward. We offer supply chain scale because we're looking at several properties. We can talk about B-doubles or road trains full of cattle rather than just 10s and 20s, so that helps with our marketing. And what we can do is provide the energy and the direction and some planning to get into some of this capital improvements that a lot of these properties have perhaps foregone in the recent past. So lease payments for us are based on the enterprise, so it's a bit of a skin in the game equals sustainable outcomes. That's the way we talk about it. We look at a fair return, but we also are interested in this relationship. So if we're not sleeping at night because our lease price is up here, then that's a problem for relationships. And if we're not sustainable, then we're not going to be looking after the land as sustainably either. We're going to be forced into a corner, and that's not how we do business. Just a quick blurb there, who are our clients? Those in transition to retirement, but there's also this absentee landholder or investor market that Sam's talking about. I'm really excited about talking to him about that. There's just a couple of examples of farms. I won't cover that now because I don't think the audience, you may not be interested in the nitty gritty, but this is just to document. This is an interesting program, AgWorld. I don't know if anyone's used it. You can subscribe to AgWorld for a 30-day free trial. I'm still on it, so I haven't paid a cent. I don't know what's going on, but they've kept me on. But you can go on, you can pin a property's boundaries, and then you can break it up into paddocks. This is a paddock, 100 acres, that we split up further to manage it more effectively. But it gives you the acres or the hectares, so it's a really powerful tool when you're negotiating, and you can take out scrubbed areas, laneways or forestry. It's really important to know just exactly where's the productive land in this 500 acres, you know, because it might only be 270 that you can actually call arable or grazable.
So it's called again?
AgWorld. There's another program called Pastures from Space. I don't know if any of you have looked at that. But yeah, this is a bit more of a blown up one. So you can start planning rotations, you can work out stocking rate. Yeah, you've got this paddock here is 3.67 hectares, I think. So you can get an idea with your pasture meter on how big a mob of cows or how long that 80 head of cattle will stay in that paddock. Really powerful stuff. And I think we need to say as a younger generation that we've got some advantages now with this sort of technology. You know, we're able to I can sleep at night. I can buy a B-double of heifers knowing that I've got feed for them moving forward, because I've got the tools now to measure the pasture, and I've got the tools to know exactly how I will graze them once they arrive. So it's a fantastic way to run your business. So that's nearly it from me. There's just a few snippets from our clients. So it wasn't really a hard sell today. It was just really to say on the back of Sam's presentation that, you know, I started this in September last year, and now I'm spending 2 days a week plus a day on the weekend doing what I love. So you can do that in your own way, in your own enterprise. Just start, you know, and get some good advice. There's some templating that I wanted to quickly cover. So we've spent a lot of time building the templates that allow you to sleep at night and have conversations that actually have some impact with negotiating a lease. And lease might not be a lease, it might be adjustment, it might be a weight gain, profit share type arrangement. There's a whole lot of different ways that people can advise you on how to go about it. But you need to get the enterprise costs sorted, so you know what your costs of carry are. And if you're going to share income with a farmer, they need to be really comfortable with this. So you keep it simple, but you keep it real. And you can plug in here different turn-off weights, you can plug in different market rates, and you can plug in different percentage of the enterprise going back as a lease payment. So these are the sort of things that advisors can help with, or people like myself and Sam can put you in touch with people that do that. And then what you can do then, if you want to try and sell this story, which a lot of advisors now are cottoning onto, is that you can model a poor season, average season and a good season, and you can show how, you know, the different returns for this particular property go from 13,000 through to 17. So it's a big difference, but you don't want to be pegged on a fixed lease up in here because you can be hurt. That's it from me.